Welcome to Outta Class, for all those lessons you didn't learn in school. Your overall health, fitness and well-being starts with the right mindset and having those meaningful conversations. This is your host, Grant Roberts. Let's get into it.
I'll teach you a lesson now.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Outta Class Podcast. Welcome back if you've been here before. If it is your first time, I hope you enjoy it, you find it valuable, and you get something out of it. As this week is titled, 5 Learning Mistakes Gym Newbies Make. So the most common mistakes that I see, that many other coaches see, that gym newbies or people just starting out with healthy lifestyle habits or trying to implement them into their lives make when starting out in today's health and fitness industry. So this first one is very relevant because what is the first thing that people do these days when they're decided they're going to get on a health and fitness journey? They're looking for information, looking for the best way to go about it. We jump on social media, and who do we look for? We look for people we idolize. We look for people that have the lifestyle, the physique, the perceived habits that we want, and we scroll through social media to find them. And what is the biggest mistake with that? Usually assuming, this is number one, assuming popularity equals expertise. Now, I've got many examples of this that I can give. I'm not going to name and shame anybody in particular, but I will give some examples of this. So people mistake a large following, an impressive physique, or dramatic transformations as somebody who is qualified to give safe and evidence-based advice. That is one of the most common mistakes these days. You look at somebody's following, you look at that and think that must be reputable. You look at their physique and think, gee, they know what they are doing. But unfortunately, social media is a little bit of a circus, a little bit of a make-believe world, especially in the health and fitness industry if you really dive into it. I've been doing a lot of reels lately on my Instagram. Check those out. I'm probably going to start doing more of these just to really help people decipher what is reality and what is fake and what has become of the health and fitness industry. Not like a vendetta or in an angle of hate or envy. It's more so just really trying to help you navigate social media the same way you should be navigating your health and fitness decisions and choices, and help you make a more informed and helpful decision so you don't make mistakes early on or do things that are detrimental to what you're trying to do. So number one, assuming popularity equals expertise. I don't want to go too far into this, but one of the common things you should know, one of the facts is a lot of people buy their followers, or they've got their followers for every other reason other than being qualified and knowledgeable in health and fitness and coaching people. There might be somebody who is super attractive. People find them sexually appealing. That is a huge one. Or they're good in some other principle. There might be a sportsman, for example. Just because somebody is good at a certain sport doesn't make them qualified to be able to coach you in your health, your fitness, your nutrition goals. A lot of the time, these top athletes actually have coaches coaching them. They don't have to think about what they're doing to stay in shape. They don't have to think about what they're eating. They have personal chefs. They have all this help behind them where they literally don't have to think about what they're doing. So if you're getting coaching off these people, then it's safe to say that even more than that, even more likely, you're actually not getting coaching off them. They might be the face of the coaching company. They might be doing endorsements for that company, and you're actually not getting coaching off that person. If you are, it could be even more concerning because these people aren't particularly qualified, knowledgeable, and able to give you very safe, very evidence-based, scientifically proven, good advice and personalized advice, also very individualized for you. And gravitating away from popularity and followers, there's plenty of coaches out there with not many followers either, and they're also shit coaches too. They're very unqualified. They don't have the expertise that you want, but they look a certain way. So you just assume this person knows what they're doing. There's 20-something-year-olds out there with amazing physiques. They muscly or fit, healthy. They might have the glutes that you want, or the chest or abs, whatever it might be. These people, some of these people, or a lot of these people, especially if you're in your early 20s, can look that way without even going to the gym. They're just naturally or genetically gifted, you could say, in that way, to look that way, and they don't have to work as hard as somebody who is severely overweight or somebody who is a first timer in the gym. They have these physiques and they're able to sell or market themselves as something that they are not, which is a qualified and reputable coach. So that's the first point. I don't want to continue on too much with that point, but I think one of the biggest mistakes is that, and continues to be, and probably will continue to be, is that assuming popularity overall, social media or otherwise, equals expertise. It just doesn't. People follow people for many different reasons, and you really have to delve deeper into a person to really see if they can help you or not. We should be looking at the quality of people's credentials. We should be looking at previous clients. We should be looking at how they actually are as a person. Are they a trustworthy person? Are they reputable? Can they really help you? Are they going to give you the time? Do they really care about you, or is it just the money that they want? There's heaps of different factors you have to question before just looking at somebody and just saying, yeah, they look like what I want to look like, so I'm going to go with them. That's pretty much the point I wanted to make. Okay. Number 2, and this one is huge. I was looking at a few reels today, and very relatable reels, people kind of making fun of this. Definitely some coaches out there that know this definitely happens all the time, and that is copying a coach's personal routine exactly. So not just in the gym, not just the exercises, the coach's calories, their training split, supplements, and lifestyle, which in reality doesn't suit you, your body, your experience, your schedule, your injuries, your goals, your lifestyle. Trying to follow somebody else's routine exactly is going to be a huge detriment to you. You are not the same genetically. You're not the same physically. You don't have the same life, the same biological markers. You don't have all these things. So that's one of the most common mistakes I see. And I did this. I actually had somebody give me the calories that I should be following and the workouts that I should be doing when I first started. So I'll just eat these calories. You should be able to lose weight. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't really even know what calories were. I didn't understand what that meant. I knew that there was numbers on the back of packages of foods and things, but I didn't really know what I was tracking and what I was aiming for. I didn't know anything about how much protein I should eat. I just knew, you have to add protein to all your meals. So I started adding protein to my oats. I hated them at the start, which is kind of funny. Now I actually absolutely love them. But I think when I started doing it, the protein powders weren't as good as they are now. They were very bland and claggy, and if it was called chocolate, it definitely didn't taste like chocolate. I'll say that. And I definitely had some learning to do and some catching up to do when it came to my nutrition, particularly, but then also my training style. I basically did the same program that they did and just went off the calories they said roughly I should take. And little did I know that they didn't really have the information customized for me. They weren't trying to be a coach or anything either. Just a good friend of mine was just kind of guiding me and helping me because they got in great shape themselves. But it definitely was a huge mistake and probably did set me back, when I think about it, realistically, 2 years of kind of trial and error and seeing what worked for me and what my goals were. It probably set me back a little bit more because the workouts that I was doing were quite extreme and I'd say quite unsustainable when it comes to what my goals actually were. At the start, it was weight loss, it was building a bit of muscle, it was conditioning, it was overall fitness. But as my goals changed and I decided on what I really wanted, those workouts certainly didn't suit what my goals were. So that was detrimental. And I also didn't really learn much about nutrition and why I was eating what I was eating. I was just eating it because this guy had the body that I wanted again. And I thought, well, if I eat and train like him, then I'm going to get the results. In saying that, I got some great results for sure. I got really good results, but I think it was more on the extreme side when it came to how strict I had to be with my foods. I started labeling foods as good or bad, and I got a little bit obsessed with working out. I probably did too much exercise in the grand scheme of things and probably lost too much weight and got to a point where I was losing muscle at the same time, I would say, just because of the excessive and intense workouts and also not really understanding nutrition. Number 3, believing, and this kind of leads in from the last point I made about copying a coach's personal routine. I'll go back to that actually. Another point I wanted to make on this, I saw a reel on this earlier, so it's easy to give an example. If coaches in the gym really showed you the workouts that they did, I'm talking about the viral videos and reels you see online where people are hot and sweaty and doing all these burpees and crazy acrobatic workouts and backflips and handstands and all that shit. Like, yes, there's a time and place for it. If you're training for a particular thing, you might work in a circus or you might be a CrossFitter. They tend to do more explosive exercises and things. But when you look at somebody who looks like a bodybuilder doing burpees or doing things like squat, doing something like a squat overhead press, all of these dynamic conditioning type moves, and they're showing how they train, they're actually not showing you how they train. The thing is, they're giving you things that get more views on social media. They look cool, so they're going to drive traffic towards their page and get people to follow them because it becomes more of an entertaining value than it does educational. And it is very hard, even for myself as a coach these days. It's very hard to stay educational and give purpose and give meaning and give very valuable knowledge without trying to have some element of engagement or some entertainment to get eyes on your page and on your coaching and things. You kind of these days have to join the circus a little bit, which I've definitely been resisting lately and going on a different angle. And I'm just hoping over time, just like anything, as things adopt, as things progress in the health and fitness industry, I'm hoping it goes back to what it used to be, which was the very educational, very, very helpful, very transparent coaches that had the followings and had the clients and were able to provide value to a mass of people compared to the people that get the followings these days. Like I mentioned before with the examples of just engaging and entertaining type content to draw in people to pay them for coaching. Number 3, as I was leading into, believing extreme methods are necessary. I think this kind of goes back to the psychology of how we are when we come up with a new idea, or we're always the most motivated at the start of a goal, the first day 1, or the week leading up to thinking about all the things we're going to achieve. It's almost like envisioning what you would do if you won the lotto. You woke up and you won Powerball. All the things that you would do, you're dreaming about it, you're thinking about it, and how great your life is going to be. And having a fitness goal and getting really excited about it is similar in the way that you envision what the end result is going to be. You kind of forget the work that you have to do in between to get there. So some very, very common extremities in the health and fitness industry, which still to me, not to my surprise, but I am surprised in some ways, the extremities and the things that still create clickbait and create attention, and people still believe these things, which is more shocking from my behalf and from what I see. But very low calories, for example, when trying to lose excess body fat. And what I mean by very low calories, I'm not talking 1500 calories. I'm talking things like the 800 calorie diet or fasting for 3 days at a time on a water fast, or drinking water and lemon together to lose weight. All these different fads. Excessive cardio is another one. Yes, if you are a runner or you're an endurance athlete, excessive cardio, you're going to have to do it to perform in that. But this isn't going to be your ideal way to drop body fat. So there's a separation there. And you want to build muscle and get ripped and get shredded and have muscle definition. Cardio is not the way for that. Food elimination. I mentioned this before. When I first started, I thought there was good and bad foods. Yes, there is more nutrient dense, high protein, more quality foods compared to others, but you shouldn't have to eliminate foods altogether. You should be able to still enjoy all different types of foods while staying on point with your goals and staying in a routine. No days off. A very famous kind of line on social media these days. So people think that you can't have a rest day. People think that you can't train 4 days a week and still get really good results when you can. It's your overall habits for the day, not how many days a week you train. Yes, depending on your goals, you might have to train a little bit more or less depending on what your goals are. Say you want to build a little bit more muscle, you're going to have to strength train a little bit more, hit a muscle group a little bit more consistently, of course. But overall, the expectations of what people think they have to do to get the results are hyperinflated. Hyperinflated when it comes to what you actually have to do versus what you think you have to do in order to get the results that you want. I'm training nowhere near as much as I used to. I'm moving nowhere near as much as I used to because I do understand what I need to do. You want to get to a point where you know what the minimum amount of work you can do in order to get the results that you want. You want to get to that point. So for me, I know I could do 3 days a week if I wanted to in the gym. I could do, say, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hit full body workouts and probably still get the results that I want. But for me, at the moment, I like to split my muscle groups up, and I actually just enjoy going to the gym 5 days a week. I like to split my muscle groups up that way. I like to do a lower push-pull type split my muscle groups up, and then on one of the days, I'll put a little bit more volume into a muscle group that I'm working on at the moment, my legs. I'm training them twice a week at the moment just to put some more volume into them and build them up, but nothing extreme. I've got an overall balance. I walk as much as I can. I'm intentional with how much I move my body, and I strength train with purpose for my goals and what I want my body to look like physically, how I want it to move functionally. I focus on that. I know what the minimum amount is that I have to do in order to sustain that and maintain and also improve on this. Extreme methods, things like, I'm going to mention this again because I've always had a war against companies like this, things like isogenics or the Atkins diet, or even, not particularly, but even things like keto, eliminating food groups altogether, especially if you really enjoy the food groups you're eliminating, it's not going to be sustainable, and ultimately it's not going to be enjoyable for you. So why would you want to do that long term and make a lifestyle choice that's going to make you miserable? Make that make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Now, I think I covered that enough. I'm probably getting through these quite quickly, which is a good thing also because some of my podcasts go longer than others. So if they can go a little bit shorter sometimes, you can easy listen on the way to work or something, and you get the episode in, then I'm glad about that. There's only 5 points here, but I've already gotten through 3. Number 4, taking advice without considering context. Now this is a huge, what would I say, a very common detrimental element of social media now is the fact that we have timed reels. So your average reel will go for, you can only really record for 1.5 minutes, I think it is. So 1.5 minutes, if you're trying to explain something super complex or super important, 1.5 minutes is not a long time to be able to break down everything in a way that can be fully comprehended and understood and then applied. So a short video, it'll rarely explain who the advice is appropriate for one, how long to use it, for example, or what, even more concerning, what medical and lifestyle factors may change from that recommendation. A lot of the reels, the health and fitness advice, is a generalization. So it's for the general population, those without underlying health issues, those without disabilities, those who have a certain amount of hours during the day to be able to apply these things. You have to be able to comprehend the information first before you can apply it. That is probably the main point I'm trying to make here. A lot of the videos we have don't go into super detailed context of what the information is they're trying to get across to you to be able to apply it. That's why you should have a coach that is approachable at all times. You can follow up on questions. A lot of these online coaches will put their videos and their information up on social media, but they have like a subscription service where you basically just signed up to their automatic app. You get all the workouts and you get generalized information when it comes to nutrition and plans and things based on your body weight or your goals. You get a very generalized plan without the support there or the extra information you need if you do have an underlying issue, or you need to change an exercise, for example, because it doesn't suit you, or you need to change certain ways of eating that aren't sustainable for you. You should be able to do that. But unfortunately, with social media, like I said, these days, everything is short form. So it's 10-second, 15-second clickbait. I've had to do this. I know a lot of other really passionate coaches who really care about the information they provide. They almost want to over provide the information to ensure their clients succeed. It's very hard. As you can see, this is probably why I'm doing a podcast too. So I've got more of a long form way of giving out information in a more in-depth way to explain my points more. So that's probably another reason why I do a podcast, because I can go more in depth. That's why I started doing them again, because I found even with a minute and a half, it's very, very hard for me to get all the points I want within context and really highlight the main information I want to get out there. Or I'll just have to leave stuff out altogether. I'll have to chop it, and a lot of the time it doesn't even come out the way that you want to, with the value that you want it to hold when you're posting. So that's number 4. They're taking advice without considering context. Because you hear something from somebody you idolize doesn't mean it's going to suit you. It doesn't mean it's going to relate to what you need to do for your individual goals and lifestyle. Having a sip of coffee for those listening. Number 5, I'm actually going to do a whole video on this at some stage, because I see it a lot in the gym that I train in. I've seen it in pretty much every gym that I've trained in. You see people like this, and that is not even in the gym. This is just in general. This is people's lifestyles. This is people's choices, and that's constantly changing plans based on new content. We see the I'm going to do a reel on this soon. It shows how sheepish people are, and what I mean by sheepish is how quick trends are followed by everybody, and people trying to make these things their own and just jump on board with the new stupid TikTok dance or trend, but in more of a relevant health and fitness industry, you see the same reel done a million times by everybody. Someone gets really good traction with it, and then your coach and their clients and everybody will do the same video. I'm going to show this soon. And it has a lot to do with, again, assuming popularity equals expertise. And I'll go even further than that and say assuming virality, so people who go viral or people who get a lot of attention are intelligent people. There is a statistic out there, and I guess in a rough way, you could say, how would you say it? Not to get to, what's the word? Not to make it all so doom and gloom and like I'm teasing a lot of people or putting everybody in the same category. But they say that think of the dumbest person you've met, or the most unintelligent person you have met, statistically is 50% smarter than the average population. I don't know if that's true, but when you think about it and you look on social media when it comes to people following different trends and doing things without thinking for themselves, it probably rings true. It probably rings true in a lot of ways. There was a statistic there, it said the average person has an IQ lower than 100. So their IQ score is lower than 100. And if you've met somebody, or if you meet a stranger, if you just meet somebody, the chances of them being lower than the average IQ are a lot higher than them being higher than the 100 score of an IQ. So, I mean, not to get too doom and gloom, but a little statistic there, which I found interesting, and it really plays out in the health and fitness industry, I would say. And that's why we put too many people on a high pedestal when they shouldn't be. And we think because they have a certain body that we want, that they must be more intelligent than us as well. For some reason, we think somebody's physical appearance makes them superior to us or makes them more intelligent than us, when it's certainly not the case. Half the people you see on these fitness reels and looking perfect can't even speak on camera like this, like you and me. They can't even form a sentence and put it together or talk in depth on any subject at all, especially health and fitness. You ask them a general question on health and fitness, I guarantee, I'm not going to put a percentage to it, but I guarantee a majority of these coaches out here wouldn't even be able to tell you if you asked them on the spot, straight away, all right, how many calories are in a gram of fat? They'd be like, no, I have no idea. They wouldn't know. Like this is the depth that people are at as far as their IQ and their mindset goes, and we put these people on a pedestal. I'm rambling on a little bit about it, but I hope I've given a good example there of just not perceiving people in a way that they are superior based on following, based on social media, and thinking we have to do everything that they do, or even comparing ourselves to them. We tend to assume people who are further ahead than us are smarter than us in some way, or they're more superior to us, and we should be doing everything that they say exactly as they do it in order to succeed. And it's just not the way. Now, I went a bit off tangent there, as I do, but constantly, number 5, constantly changing plans based on new content. So jumping between diets. Oh, this is the new diet, this new Mediterranean diet, or like I said before, the keto diet. There's been so many different diets that come out. Every single year there's something new. There's something that's good for you all of a sudden, and then the next year it gives you cancer. Or exercise and influences that are put on social media as the best thing. The fact is, exercise and what actually works in the gym is boring. It's like Groundhog Day. It's all the traditional exercises that you do. The only reason they work is because you do them, and you have to do them consistently. You have to progressively overload with them. It's not some secret exercise that all these people in shape have that you don't have. It's not some secret they have, or some amazing exercise that you're not doing that's going to get you the results. All it really is these people are more consistent than you. They're progressively overloading, they're challenging their body and doing the same things for long enough for it to work. Something like a sensible plan, as I was just saying then, followed for months, will usually outperform a perfect plan changed every week. And you've probably heard this before, but it's so true. You can have the perfect plan, the perfect nutrition setup. You can have a personal chef. You can have everything set up for you, but if you don't stick to it, the person with the subpar average program is going to get 1,000 times better results than you, because they're simply showing up and doing it for long enough for it to work and sticking to it long enough to see the results. I'm going to wrap up this podcast. I'll just quickly run through the 5 because I probably went out on a tangent on some of them and maybe it's a little bit of a blur. But the 5 learning mistakes gym newbies make, that's pretty much what it's going to be titled. But anybody on a new health journey, these are the common mistakes people make. Number 1, assuming popularity equals expertise. Beware of that. Stop putting people on a pedestal because of their amount of followings or because they're on some reality TV show. Do you think getting coaching from Kim Kardashian in person is going to be a good thing? Does she have the knowledge, or does she have the best help in the world helping her to work out, helping with her foods, her nutrition, all these types of things? If you want Kim Kardashian's body, you're probably going to have to get some implants also. Didn't want to really have to throw her under the bus, but she's a good example of somebody who is super popular that you probably shouldn't be getting advice of, life advice or otherwise. If you don't know her history, have a look into how she first got popular. Have a look at that. Probably not a good choice. Number 2, copying a coach's personal routine exactly. Unless, and this doesn't go down to how they train in particular. Like, yes, they could have great programs for you, and I should probably clear that. I'm not talking about a workout program that your coach does. If it does suit you, definitely worth doing. I give a lot of my clients similar workout routines to me because they work, but I'll obviously customize different exercises and different sets and reps and routines based on them individually. But I'm talking about, I'm not having my clients eat like me. I'm not having them on the same calories, the same macros, the same eating routine as me and the same foods, because they probably don't like the foods that I eat. That we have different preferences, they have different goals, different body weights, different everything individually. So number 2, don't copy your coach's personal routine exactly, or your favorite idol's routine exactly. Number 3, believing extreme methods are necessary. They're not. Consistency is what's necessary. And doing the boring things over and over again for long enough for them to work. Number 4, taking advice without considering context. So read more into these reels. Look up the information yourself. We take somebody's video and we just assume that's the truth, and that's what works for me, and I'm going to do exactly what this video said because that person saying it looks like they know what they're talking about. Wrong most of the time. I expect you to take this information that I've got here and go and further study it. Go and pick it apart. Prove me wrong if you want to. I have no problem with somebody coming to me with better information or calling me out and saying I did something incorrect. That is the best thing that can probably happen from this, because I know that you are then paying attention and we're both going to improve from that. I'd like to hear your coach say that. Imagine your coach admitting they were wrong or wanting almost to be wrong and be corrected and be updated. And there's not many coaches out there that would admit that. Number 5, and the final one, was constantly changing plans based on new content. I see so many people in the gym just fluffing around without a program, bit of this, bit of that, walking around lost, and seeing a new exercise and going and doing that, or a new program. Every single week it seems like they're on a new program, and guess what else is consistent with them? They don't change. They don't improve because they don't stick to something long enough for it to work. They're always lost. They're always looking for a quick fix. They're always jumping around here and there and not really applying something long enough for it to work. I'm going to leave this episode with a quote for you relevant to the podcast. I thought I was going to get through this podcast without the dogs barking. I'm not sure if you can hear them, but they definitely hold their consistency when it comes to me recording a podcast and start barking. So I'm going to leave you with a quote based on this episode, and I might do this more often also. I love reading books. If you know me, I love reading books. I love quotes, and I love applying them to real life. It's very easy to read quotes and get inspiration for them, but you should be able to apply the lesson in them. And I think this quote pretty much wraps up all what I've talked about today. And that is, bad habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, but hard to get out of. In other words, they say learning isn't the most difficult thing in the world. Unlearning is usually the most difficult thing in the world. If we're doing something long enough and it becomes second nature, then it's very hard to untrain your brain and unlearn, a lot of the time, unhealthy, detrimental habits. So I'll do that quote again, and then I'll wrap this podcast up. Bad habits are like a comfortable bed, easy to get into, but hard to get out of. I really hope you found this episode, again, very, very valuable. If you haven't listened to previous podcasts that I've done, go back and check them out. If you did enjoy this one, be sure to like, subscribe to my Spotify, my YouTube channel, and share it on your stories if you could be so kind. I know it can be a little bit intimidating you might like to kind of sit behind the wall and watch these podcasts and things and feel a little bit intimidated to share my things, because then you're saying, Grant's going to see that I'm listening to his podcast and watching his YouTube channel. I don't really want him to know that I'm watching it. Like, I don't mind. I want you to be able to, you supporting me is me being able to support you more, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I really hope you got something out of it. I look forward to seeing you next week. A few more guests coming in the next few weeks for sure. I'm lining them up, making a list, checking it twice, and going to have some more valuable conversations. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Talk soon. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's podcast and found it helpful, share it on your Instagram story, and don't forget to tag me at Grant Roberts PT.